So today I look at the date and I realize that it's been 3 months that I've been on Wellbutrin. I started with 150 mj for the first 6 weeks, and then I got on the 300 mj dose. And so it's been 3 months. I just thought it would be interesting to share my experience. Obviously, I want to share a bit of background first, like how did I go through depression? I'm also going to say how I got it because I know it's been a struggle for me to get on the meds because I've been wanting to try for so long. But because I don't have a family doctor, I never met a doctor that actually believed me. They would be like, no, you're not depressed. You're just going through a hard time. Anyways, but yeah, first I would like to share a bit of intro. I think my depression started a long time ago. I'm not going to go too much into the details, but basically I'm gay. And when I was like 11, 12, I lived a lot of like homophobia in my household and even in society. I mean, people around me. So I lived like a very like traumatic life in terms of like how I approach things. I think I carry a lot of trauma from this place, from this moment of my life, although I feel like it's doing much better now because I've healed a lot. Trauma is a wound that can get better, but it's always going to be a sensitive spot. You know what I mean? It's like when you have a bad knee. You know, it's like it's always going to get bad at some point, even though you had good faces. The way it materialized in my adulthood, my definition of depression is something that prevents you mentally and physically from actually living a proper life and living a decent life. The way it materialized, I hated school. I missed 30% of my classes, never found pleasure with other people out there, always felt in fear, never felt good in high school, blah, blah, blah. So I would skip most of the class and would stay home like 30% of the time at my place. Then I grew up and it was like, oh, when the love relationships came, it was a huge drama. Again, I had such a traumatic approach to it and it took me a long time to get better. Today, I'm really good at this, so I'm glad. But it was a lot of practice, so a lot of like deep sadness in the things and, you know, moment of being dysfunctional, literally like not being able to go somewhere and not being able to be myself. And growing up, it's mostly the corporate world that really killed my vibe. I was like, if I have to live like that every day, when I started like working in a 9 to 5 job, I was like, I'm gonna kill myself by the time I'm like 35 or 40, because there is no way I'm gonna be able to do that. I think the way was visceral. I think it's so tied to some kind of trauma of not being made for this world. I was never suicidal, but I feel like existentially I've been suicidal my entire life. But it's just like I don't wish to die, you know what I mean? But it's just I've lost so much hope in the world and in everything, and this dystopia makes it really hard to stay healthy. You gotta believe in good and a little bit in you know, in positivity to be mentally healthy. You gotta have some hope. Anyway, so that's how I would describe my experience of depression. I remember I made a YouTube video 4 years ago documenting my depression on a day-to-day, and somebody was like, this is not depression, this is about, I love how everybody loves to diagnose it for you when like actually depression is a very personal thing. Everybody experiences it differently. To me, what I describe as depression is being really unable to perform in this world at the level that is expected from me, like to work, to go to school, to make money. I tried my best. It was not a willpower problem. It was really a question of chemistry. You know what I mean? It's my chemicals. They don't chemic. You know what I mean? It's like, anyways, after trying a very long time, I ended up finding this telehealth website that actually prescribe mental health treatment. How happy I was when I found out telehealth platforms exist. I could describe what I'm going through, you know, chatting with a doctor. So I like had to answer this quiz, and I said how I'm doing, and I like shared my life, and I felt way more vulnerable because the problem with a doctor is that you feel so rushed. I live in North America. You have 15 minutes with a doctor. So anyways, I was really able to express how I feel and really share my true experience, and felt comfortable doing so because I was in the comfort of my own home. The doctor came back. I was like, yeah, you fucking depressed, bro. You're have a good depression, you know? So anyways, I got the medication prescribed through myrocky.ca. Good platform, honestly great experience, very fast, very discreet packaging, surprisingly cheap. I think it's very important for people to know that these platforms exist so they can get the proper treatment that they don't get from our failed medical system. I think, you know, the internet and technology has the power to help on all of these things, although a lot of these companies are in the hands of the wrong people. We can still recognize the benefit of it all. So check it out if ever that's something you've been struggling with. Before I share with you the positives and the negatives, I want to talk about the side effects that I experienced. So very early on, after maybe 2-3 days, I started feeling a lot of anxiety. I'll talk about it a bit later in the video, but I'm not somebody who has an issue with anxiety, which is partially why I went on this medication. because one of the most common side effects is anxiety. And I started experiencing a lot of anxiety because of the medication, which was something very new for me. Not too overwhelming because, again, I'm not an anxious person. I think, at least not mentally. I can have like physical anxiety and stuff, but like pain and stuff. But I definitely experienced way more anxiety, like just feeling tense all the time. If I drink a lot of coffee, I can feel like I still feel that. I cannot go that far with coffee. Also, I definitely had insomnia issues. I would say that lasted for 2 weeks. My partner also told me that I was way more irritated. I could like get mad a bit more easily. I've had a bit of digestive issue, but I'm also on a GLP-1, so that might be linked to this. Not getting into the details, but it was just everything was staying inside. So I went to the doctor and they were saying it could be the GLP-1, but it could also be Wellbutrin. So that's a part of it. So quite a lot of side effects. The benefits really gotta outgrow the struggles, because it's definitely you getting used to. But this medication doesn't affect your sex drive, it doesn't affect your weight, which were things that were really important for me. So obviously the system of this medication is very different. Instead of, I'm not a doctor, okay, this one really pushes you to action, which is why you don't get the traditional side effects like weight gain or like lack of sex drive. These ones are a very new system, and it's a very revolutionary way of treating depression. Definitely works. That I can tell you definitely works. So I just wanted to share my side effects. So now let's talk about the positives and the negatives. So to give you a full review, the positive, I would say number one, it made me way more rational. Before, I used to be a very woo-woo person. I grew up in a very spiritual family. A lot of my family kind of believe in like the universe and the moon, the planets, and all the astrology and stuff, and I grew up in it, and honestly a big part of me do still believe in it, and I'm deeply spiritual as a being, you know what I mean? But I've noticed sometimes the spirituality can be very toxic. For example, the manifestation, and generally I just feel like it's very, very much tied to personal development, and it kind of makes you feel guilty for things you feel, and it kind of makes you responsible for the outcome of your life. And we don't have that much willpower, and the system is not fair. I guess the issue I have with it is the if you want, you can type of mentality. I think it's toxic, it's not true. And this is something that I hear a lot, notably in my family. And this is something I don't believe in. When I say it made me more rational, in a way, it just made me realize the limitation of the spiritual thinking. It's very biased. It's very often based on interpretation. Sometimes it's tied to trauma, but that's another controversial topic. But a lot of people use spirituality as a way to cope with trauma, and it's not necessarily a negative thing. There are a lot of different forms of antidepressants. It's just I could tell that this one was no longer fine for me, and I'm glad the medication helped me be more rational. I don't know, I've been feeling way more bright in my ability to understand things rationally, and to like avoid psychosis and avoid going too far in my mind and being too existential, actually, you know what I mean? And so now when I'm with my family, I'm like, I look at them, they're all talking and they're like, oh my God, I received that message. I don't know, they eat a fortune cookie that said, yeah, you got to believe in yourself because a bright future is coming. And everybody's like, oh my God, it's coming. And I look at them and I'm like, are you guys okay? And when like literally 2 months before, 3 months before, I was not like that at all. So I think it did make me way, way more rational. Another positive, obviously, it makes me way more productive as a person. I was never able to perform, as I told you, work. At the same thing, a lot of things changed also when I got on the medication. So a lot of it might be also other changes. I was smoking weed a lot before, and almost daily, and I quit at the same time as I got on the medication, and now I only smoke occasionally during the weekends and stuff. But I also got a job that now I like a bit more. That started the same day I got on the medication. So obviously, I'm not sure, but I know the medication is doing something over there in my ability just to be to have a routine and to just. It's way easier to get in motion and to actually to do the things that are expected from me, like going to work and stuff. Also, the biggest example that cannot be explained by anything else than the medication is the gym. All my life, I've never been able to go to the gym and lift. I was never able to like just sit with the complexity of it all and sit with how challenging it is to like be disciplined and everything. I've been like really super good at going now 3 times a week, and I just do it, So I think the medication is definitely helping a lot with that, just being able to have a bit more of a discipline, you know what I mean? Just all the compound interest of being able to do the things you want to do a bit more. It also makes the whole thing less deep. I definitely feel way less existential, way less philosophical. Mathematics are almost enough for me, and everything gets enough for me also, because that's the main thing that the medication does. It spike your dopamine. I'm not sure if I'm using the right thing. I'm sorry. I'm not a chemist. I'm not. I'm just a regular guy on the internet. Okay, so like this is just my experience being shared right now. But it does spike your adrenaline and your dopamine, so you feel satisfied with much less. You know what? I'll start talking about the negative because I feel like I've talked about most of the positive. One big problem that I'm facing is that it's making me very asocial. I'm a people person. That's why I'm here, like, talking about my experience, because to me, the only satisfying thing in the world is to connect with people, helping others, connecting with others, having a connection. That's why I love creating content so much. But I needed so much less. Before, I couldn't go like 2 weeks without seeing my friends because I would start feeling kind of a fundamental, missing part of myself, connecting with other human beings, brainstorming, talking. I literally don't need any of it right now. I don't need friends, which makes me weirdly a very good capitalistic tool because I work way more and I put way more of my energy towards work, productivity, anything that could bring the money. And in a way, there is also this critique that antidepressants makes you just a better tool for capitalism. And maybe that's another flaw that I find. It's that I miss that part of myself that was like way more opinionated. I'm not saying that opinionated. I don't know how to say it. I'm not saying that I don't have opinions anymore. It's just I don't have that same passion for things. Like the other day, I was at the park, because I love like creating music at the park. And this guy came and he came to me and he was like, really good vibe. And he started talking to me and he just moved from Austria. And it was really fun and I was really excited. But in my head, I was like, I just want to go back to my music. And that makes me really sad because I used to really love these like encounters. It's just that I don't have the drive anymore. So in a way, it's so much better because it makes my life easier. I feel like I'm finally going to be able to like save money because before I was too much in a traumatic state. Like I got myself in debt, like this depression really got me down, you know? But now I finally feel stable enough to actually start to fix the things. That's the reason why I'm never gonna go off this medication until I'm doing better in life. So it's working, and I'm really happy with it. But I'm just trying to be honest. There is nothing in life that is an all positive experience. All positives always come with like challenges and new problems that you didn't see coming. And I'm still a human being. Especially these meds do make you feel your emotions a lot. You're not completely like detached from yourself. Like I've been crying a lot, watching movies, listening to music. The other day, I went to see a concert and I cried when before I don't think I would have been able to be that vulnerable in front of other people because of trauma, again, and because of depression. That's a new thing that I'm able to do now. How cool is that? I was crying at this concert because the music was fucking beautiful. You gotta be at a certain level of happiness to be able to like focus so much on your emotions. It's such a privilege that not a lot of us have because like life is fucking hard, man, you know? And so again, like I feel like it's brought me at a level of like happiness and like just base level of like satisfaction with life that has been way better. I don't suffer quite as much, to be frank. I don't go very down. I definitely have challenging moments every week, at least like 2 days a week. I have challenging moments, because I'm still a sensitive person, It's been really, really great. I'm very grateful. I'm definitely not going off anytime soon because again, I'm like finally building stability in my rational life. So I think I'm just discovering a new self. But one thing I've been doing way more is being very rational about my mental health. When I start feeling anxious or having bad thoughts, there are ways and there are tools to feel better. Go breathe and meditate for 10 minutes. It actually makes you feel better. It's like science, you know what I mean? It's like, and I do that way more. And it actually works. And, more control of myself when before I was like, nothing works. This world doesn't make any sense. Now I believe in things a bit more. Okay, last thing I completely forgot to tell you guys. Biggest negative probably. I've been feeling way more anxious. It's funny because I'm not an anxious person, but they tell you it's one of the big warnings for this medication. Be aware it makes you anxious. For some people, not everyone. I am stressed about things that don't make sense. Like, for example, the other day I fought with my partner and we are like in a very happy, healthy relationship. I was so scared of like fighting with him because I was scared of, him leaving me or me. I was so anxious that I couldn't sleep. And I was like, oh my God, okay, that's anxiety. I don't think I felt that before. But anyways, guys, I think it's a good summary of everything. I do enjoy it. I do think it's worth experimenting with. Though I'm not sure the dosage is the right one for me. Maybe I need a bit less. I will continue, to just explore it and update you if this is something that you're interested in. Hopefully you enjoy this bit more like philosophical approach that I have. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I'm new on this channel. I decided to create a new channel where I would feel comfortable being way more vulnerable. So today I'm talking about this. Next week I might talk about my addiction to weed. Anyways, I stop here. Okay, guys. See you. Bye bye.